Hey everyone, typical. We choose a time and then everyone's going crazy in the house. Andre, honey, we're on live, darling, so you need to go upstairs for 10 minutes. Oh, why is this falling over? There we go, that's better. Hey Sarah, hey Dawn, hey Carly. How are you? Hey Kim. Oh, my thing keeps, why does this keep falling? That's all right. See how it keeps falling? The tripod keeps falling. That's all right, we're going to fix that. There we go, that's better. There we go. Hey guys, hey Ash. Hope everyone in Perth's doing good. Alrighty, so we just wanted to come on and share our birth journey with you guys. So strap in, I'm joking.
Your birth journey?
Yeah, but it's good that you're like, Dan's going to share the male like perspective because I think it's really important that like females understand what it's like for them. But then obviously for the guys listening or for husbands or boyfriends or whatever, they also, or partners or your support person, they need to hear it too, you know what I mean? So anyway, like I've shared in the past, I have had all different types of births. I have never had the same birth experience. Yeah, put it back a bit. Anyway, but this one ended up almost being like a textbook, hey? Like it ended up almost being like what you hear about and like all the little things. So anyway, so about 4 weeks before we had him, I really started having all the hip pain and I couldn't really sleep at night because my hips were really hurting. For me, that personally just means that I'm getting ready for birth. You guys saw I thought I was having the baby for a long time. I really thought, I really thought I was going to have him like, it was a good week and a half before it really started. And then the Sunday before I had him on a Friday, and the Sunday before I had him, I started to bleed. And I've never had that before. That normally happens to me during labor. But it's like the plug thing, guys, like what do they call it? The show happened on the Sunday. So I thought, okay, this is it. Today's the day. It's happening today or tomorrow. Because usually when the show happens, it can be imminent or the next few days, or sometimes, yes, it can be a couple of weeks. So anyway, so for me, it happened on the Sunday. And I really just thought like any day. But nah, didn't happen. And then Thursday night, I must have known because I took some photos, of my belly. I must have just known. But anyway, let's get to the actual day. So it was Thursday night, Friday morning. I literally woke up and started tapping him, like waking him up straight away. I was like, Dan. And he's like, what do you want? You know, I hadn't even registered what had happened. Like I hadn't even...
Me either. I was just getting beaten in my sleep.
I hadn't even registered why I was waking up, why I was like, I don't know, I must just know. But as soon as I did, he's like, what do you want? And I'm like, I'm leaking. And thank God I had a towel underneath me because I just knew that any day, and obviously I know what can go down. So I had a towel underneath me, so it was all good, no wrecking anything. But I just started leaking, and I peed myself so many times during pregnancy. So he's like, are you sure you're not just peeing yourself? And I was like, I could be, I don't know. So I stood up and I went to the toilet and stuff just obviously kept coming out. Again, I could be peeing. So I was like, whatever. And then I just stood there with towels everywhere, and I was like, I think this is my waters. Like, I'm pretty sure this is my waters. And he's like, yeah, but you could just be peeing yourself. I was like, totally. So let's just wait a little bit longer. And just stuff kept coming out. And you kind of know the difference. It's very warm, but pee's warm too. But anyway. And then eventually I was like, oh, let me try rest. And then I was like, nah, I'm still leaking. So I stood up and then a lot started to come out. So that's when I was like, this is my waters. But
and that was the indication that it didn't stop.
Like that it didn't stop.
If it was your pee, it would have stopped.
Yeah, if it was pee, it would have stopped it, a minute in at least. Anyway, but so that's when I was like, okay, my waters are broken. Now, basically, look, last time my waters broke, I didn't even know with Christian, and it was like 12 hours later before I even started having contractions. So I was like, what the hell's the time? Because it was dark. He's like, it's 2 a.m. And I'm like, oh no, we haven't slept. So I was like, maybe we should try rest and then see, just try rest in case this doesn't start for a while. And he's like, yeah, good luck with that. Anyway, so we're trying to lie down, and I'm like, do I call anyone? Do we start calling people? Because we obviously need someone to come here to watch the boys. And I also had a videographer, so I needed to call them. But again, I'm not going to do it if it's 12 hours away. So anyway, so we lay down for a minute, and then 2:20 strikes, and I get my first contraction. And I look at him and we're like, nah, we're going to have to start calling everyone. So he gets onto calling his mum to come for the boys. I get onto calling the videographer. They were not answering. I called them many times. They did not answer at all. But again, I was like, okay, I'm doing contractions. Let's time these contractions. 2:20 is my first one, guys. By 2:40, I had already had 2 more contractions. And normally it's kind of like, well, not normally, but like for me, normally it would be like, okay, every 10 minutes to start, then every 7, and then every 6, and every 5, and it kind of does that. It was literally no way. And then it was like 2 more contractions by 2:40. So that was out the window. And at 2:40, from 2:40, my contractions went to every 1.5 minutes. Every minute and a half, I was having contractions from 2:40, and it sustained until I had it. So as soon as that kicked in and they were coming in fast and strong, I'm like, Dan, we have to get a move on. Like, we have to start calling the hospital. We have to get everything. So Dan got in the shower, then I got in the shower. I'm having contractions the whole time. He's trying to get everything ready, get his mum here and all the rest of it. And I literally even did this bit of my hair. He's like, what are you doing? I'm like, I don't know. I just needed to do that. Anyway, so after the shower and after I was like ready to roll, I got my freaking nappy on because I just was like, stuff was coming out everywhere, guys. So if you think that you're going to maybe wear something pretty down below, I don't know, you have some backups. So I had something pretty, didn't I? I had like a lace thing. What the hell was I thinking? Anyway, so I put my nappy on.
You didn't learn after 3.
I didn't learn after 3. But the last time I didn't leak at all. I was wearing leggings until I pushed. So who knows? Anyway, so I wore my nappy, and then that's when I got my TENS machine. So it's like this little machine that like little, what are they, electrodes, get stuck to your back. And it times your contractions. Like you press a button and it tells you how long that contraction was for and then how long in between contractions. So that's how I knew the times of the contractions. And we put the TENS machine on, thank goodness. That thing, I've never used one before. That thing was honestly a lifesaver, hey? Like honestly, like just taking away the pain. It made it feel like more in control because I would press the button.
Yeah, I think that was one aspect of it, is that it gave you a level of focus.
Yeah.
You could focus on that.
Yeah.
And you were getting the effects of the stimulation.
Yeah, so it was like you press the button for when you're in a contraction, right? And then you press it when you come out of the contraction. And it kind of just like does this buzzing, like mild vibration type of thing when you're not in a contraction, then it gets really strong when you are. Anyway, put that on. Go downstairs. We made my pink lemonade. Yes, we did, because I need to keep hydrated. I need energy. I hadn't slept now. And so I actually took 2 of my energy supplements because I wasn't going to eat I wasn't going to eat because I know that if I was going to end up in a C-section, you shouldn't eat and all that stuff. But also, like, I wasn't feeling like eating, but I needed energy. So I took 2 of my energy tablets, my NRGs, for those who know what I'm talking about, and took my pink lemonade, of which we thought we forgot. So Dan drove around the corner onto the main street, and then he's like, oh, I didn't bring your water bottle. I left it on the table. So he drives me back. His mom's like, what are you doing? She's going to have the baby here. And then he's like, oh, no, it's behind the seat. Anyway, so we're there.
I'd rather be sure because you were going to kill me.
Anyway, got to the car park, and because they were every minute and a half, I knew that I literally had to like bolt to the front door to like try and make it without having bolt contractions in the car park. So I'm like, yes, I'll meet you there. I'm running there. Had a contraction before I made it to the front door. He's ringing the buzzer because it's in the middle of the night. You can't just walk into the hospital. They're like, yeah, we'll come down. They weren't coming down. It was like 10 minutes later. I'm like, bring the buzzer again. And luckily a doctor came down, let us in, whatever. Anyway, we went in and there was so many labors that night. She's like, oh, we're understaffed. There's so many labors happening right now. Can we just put you in this room just for observation? And then we'll sort you out. I'll get your paperwork I need to read through, because I was a VBAC, guys. So VBAC means vaginal delivery, like after cesarean. So it's kind of complicated to put it in the mild form. You have to be monitored because you have to check the baby's not distressed, because if the baby's distressed, it's a sign that my uterus is splitting. So all this kind of stuff. So it's a complicated thing. They really have to read over your notes. You have to get a cannula.
IV. You get an IV.
You have to get an IV in as well, because just in case he does get distressed, they've got like within minutes to get me into a C-section, so they have to knock me out. So all this stuff. Anyway, we get in there, I'm doing my thing, it's getting really, really strong really quick. I also start to bloody go to the toilet every 5 seconds for number 2s, and all I'm saying the whole time to Dan is like, why? Why does this happen to me? The person who has a poo butt phobia, because I've had IBS since I was 8, guys, And when you're an 8-year-old having to show your butthole to doctors, you develop a phobia, okay? So I'm like literally like, please, why does this happen to me? Why does this happen to me? But it happens to me, guys. So Dan was pulling some odd faces during labor, let's just put it that way, because he wasn't enjoying what was coming out of me. Anyway, but Dan, would you like to chime in and share anything in this bit here? Because what was the time? It was like 3:40 at this point. Is there anything you want to share? Quickly, come on, time is money.
You want me to share?
Share your perspective. What was it like at this point?
There's sort of not much you can do as the partner.
Can you talk louder? People can't hear you from here.
I mean, you get to that point where you got to do is make sure that you have everything, that you're there, that you're supportive in whatever way that they require.
Let's talk about support
and then,
in a minute.
And then take whatever abuse they throw at you, even when you are trying to be supportive.
So get this. I didn't know that I was all of a sudden going to A, go into labour at 2 a.m, but B, start having contractions every minute and a half straight away. It went from 0 to 8 straight away. And I could tell it was really, really fast and it wasn't stopping. So this one's trying to talk to me all the time. And I'm like,
It wasn't all the time. It was in between.
Anyway,
and
it was not in between.
She was not having a gap.
Yeah, so sometimes I was not having a break, guys. So normally, okay, you have a contraction for say like a minute. Then you have like that 1 minute and a half break. 1 minute break, then you have another contraction. Sometimes for me it was double and triples. So what I mean is I get to the minute thinking it's about to get better and I have a break and it didn't have a break. It would rear up again. So I had a lot of those. But anyway, he's trying to talk to me and I'm like, I was like, do not talk to me while I'm having a freaking contraction. Talk to me in between. And he's like, whatever, like you don't need to be mean. And then he would do it again. He'd start talking to me. And the thing is, it's different. Like you knew I was in a contraction because this is what I would do. I was going to the wall and I'd go to the wall and I'd do this and I'd be breathing really heavy. So you knew I was having a contraction. And to add to it, I had a button that I kept pressing to indicate I'm in a contraction. And he keeps talking to me. And I'm like, oh, like stop talking to me. So then the last was like, stop talking to me, I'm having a contraction. And then he literally insults me and calls me somebody. He goes, oh, you're acting like blah. And I mean, really, he's very lucky he didn't get knocked out and I was still having a contraction. So all I want to say is supportive partners or partners in the room. Don't insult them by like bringing up a nemesis of theirs and saying that they act like them. Or like, don't say anything, just take the abuse. Do you know what I mean? Don't say anything. It wasn't even abuse. You were annoying me during a contraction. So if they say something, my advice is just do it. I was like, can you get the nurse to check me? I'm super like pressured down below. I need someone to check me. He's like, she said she's coming back in a minute. I'm like, get the nurse. She said she's coming back. She's understaffed. I don't give a crap if she's understaffed. Get the nurse here now. Do you know what I mean? So you just do whatever they say is my advice and it's like much better. But anyway, the lady said to me, look, love, like I really need you to get monitored. As part of VBAC, you have to get monitored for 15 to 20 minutes and then you're allowed to move around and you still have to keep the monitors on you, but you have to move around. So she's like, can you do that? Can you get on the bed? Do you think you can do that? Because she could tell it was like very strong for me. And I was like, look, let's just get it done. So, of course, I did the worst part of labor probably in the bed, which is like my no-no. I always stay upright, so I was like getting gravity to do its job the whole time up until that point. But I was getting monitored and she checked me at the same time. We ripped the nappy, didn't we? I was like, can you check how many centimeters I am? Like, tell me how many centimeters I am.
Because you're on like all fours on the bed.
I was sitting, I was lying down. And I'm like, I can't move. I was like, I couldn't move at that point. And so I'm like, rip the nappy, Dad. So this is like the opposite to what you would ask a partner to normally rip off. Rip my nappy off. Anyway, so he rips the nappy off. Lucky I was wearing nappies and not undies that I didn't want to ruin.
Very sexy. Very
sexy. And he rips the nappy off. And then she checks me. What was I? It was 4:44 a.m., wasn't it? It was a weird time. So 4:44 a.m. I didn't know how like dilated I was. She checks and I'm 5 centimeters. She's like, oh, you'll be here a while or something. She made a comment like that. And I was like, no, I won't. I take ages to get to 4 centimeters. And once I hit 4, it's about to go next level and it's about to go down real quick. So it's 5 centimeters at 4:44 a.m. I then finished the 15-20 minutes of my monitoring and I had to keep the monitors on, but she was like, okay, now you can move. Like now you can, do you want to get up? Do you want to do this? I wanted to have the baby standing up, guys. I wanted to try that this time. I hadn't in the past and I wanted to stand up. I wanted to lean on Dan and I wanted to stand. That's how I wanted to do it this time. But by that point, I couldn't. My hips were almost like caving in on me. I felt like my lower back was caving in on me. I just didn't have the strength in my legs. I was shaking. So some of you have seen the videos. I started shaking at home, but it got really bad at that point. Like I was really shaking. Like she's like, "Are you cold?" And I was like, "No, I'm boiling, but like I'm shaking." So it just was what my body did. I was shaking like freaking mad. Yes, it's shocks. So I don't know, I was shaking like crazy. There's no way I could stand up at that point. But I was happy to do what I did with Christian, which was they lifted the back of the bed for me, like upwards. And I was on my knees and I was holding the back of the bed. Remember, I've got a thing in my arm and I've got monitors on me as well. So I've got to be mindful of that stuff and not moving my hand too much and all the rest. So that's the most comfortable, and gravity. It's like I always say to people, try taking a poo lying down. It's a little bit hard. So I haven't tried, but it's hard. So think this is like a baby, you know, like you need gravity. Anyway, 4:44. And then what happened at that point for you? I went next all the way. Do you want to share anything? I wanted the males to share, you know?
The males.
You know. You know what I mean? Hurry up. Do you want to share anything? What time was it now? Like what happened now?
At this point, it's just been the one midwife and myself.
The one midwife and Dan was it.
So
no doctors.
She had a little peri packs that I was getting organised to get heated up for us. So
the perineum pack.
Yeah, so Joe had an episiotomy, so she got cut previously, and for her,
you know the muscle between your vag and your butthole, that there, I've had cut twice because it was tearing. So I kind of was always fearful, and like I just expected that would happen again. So we wanted to avoid
complications there. So
with,
prior preparation of massages weeks prior.
We did massages, and we used the Ice Booby perineum pack. You can heat or ice it. So obviously for relaxation of the muscle, you want to heat it. So that's what he was doing then. He was getting it heated. Yeah? Go on. Yeah. Okay. Anyway, and then what time was it when you guys were like, oh, you can start pushing? 5:20? 5:20 or something? So in half an hour, guys, I went from 5 centimeters to 10. I was freaking screaming at this point, I'll be honest. I'm not trying to scare anyone. It's not, I've let out some belches.
Very vocal, but it's like, no pain relief. Everything was...
Yeah, I had no pain relief.
Without really much of a rest or a break in 2 and a bit hours, and it was just...
And now they were doubling up, hey, like I wasn't having...
More experience, and...
Very raw.
We just let her do her thing, and the best we can is do whatever we can to support, and that's pretty much what I did.
So Dan and the midwife, I just would listen to their voices.
Gloved up, and when Joe would struggle and she'd lose herself in her emotions and pain, we'd just get her to refocus again and get her to breathe and focus and to tell her how to push, and it's not just like... So it's like giving
direction, it's like a personal...
It's like when you're trying to deep breathe, and you can breathe shallow or you can breathe in your belly. It's like the same way pushing too. Like you can focus on how you push. If it's just a squeeze, it's not effective. Yeah. And you could see it from our perspective, like holding, where his head was. We could feel the head was right there, and she's screaming, the head must be out. And like,
tell me the head is out.
Like it's like it's going backwards and forwards.
It was funny doing one of these ones. Whoop, whoop. Anyway.
So all we could see was lots of his hair.
Lots of hair, apparently. So all I was being told is, whoa, he's got lots of hair. I'm like, wonderful. Can anyone tell me what else is going on? But by the way, so my pain relief technique was breathing. And so what I mean by breathing is different. You can't just breathe up here. It's like breathe as much as you can into the belly to give it space to expand, to give room for the contraction to work, but also to focus on where the pain actually is, But what was happening to me, which has never happened to me before, is the contractions were so full on. Like for me, normally when they tell me to push, ready to roll, I'm like in a workout mode and I'm like, boom, good to go. I can push really easily. But this time when the contraction was happening, it was so strong and like debilitating that I just could not push. So it was like, they just kept saying, push now, you're having a contraction. And I'm like, I literally can't, and it was the first time ever that I've ever used those words, I can't. I started yelling out, I can't. And they're like, yes, you can, you need to, you know, like, and I'm like, obviously, you know, but I was able to push in between, but I wasn't like, my back felt like it was caving in. It was just hectic, but they were like, you have to do it. So the only thing I could do out of nowhere, because they were like, you really have to push during contraction. Like, you have to do this now. Like, his head's there. So I literally grabbed onto the back of the bed and I just started screaming, hey, like, it was the only way that I could push at the same time as bearing that contraction was like, rah! like screaming. I got so bad for all the other women that came in, but I was like screaming. Anyway, but the one thing that really helped me with these...
Fine. It was like you're going into battle.
Yeah, him and the nurse, one thing they did that was really special and that really helped, I feel, with my perineum not like fully tearing or any of that, was they were pushing up against that muscle as well. And it was just like really helpful to like... And covering my butt, because my butt was having fun. So shame for everyone who just joined and has no idea what we're doing. Anyway, so 520 started pushing. It felt like it wasn't ending. And then they finally said to me, oh, look, mama, and it TENS came on, guys. So these guys here, they're the TENS machine that I used, and the most lovely people, best customer service, just incredible. And I had the TENS machine right up until the very end, hey, like, I literally asked him to take it away maybe 2 minutes before I had him. But anyway, thank goodness the nurse said to me, you're about 5 minutes out. And I was like, really? And she's like, yeah, you're like 5 minutes away and I'm from having him. And I was like, okay, I can do this. So I think sometimes just certain words like of affirmations and just like telling you directly what to do. So eventually they said to me, look, love, it's not like you're not getting him out this way. You need to move. We need to move you. And I was like, I literally can't move. So another nurse came in to move my leg.
Yeah, so... it was, you know, rather than being like, you've got this, keep breathing, keep pushing.
Because it wasn't helping me.
A real constructive, like, you know, words.
Yeah,
was
do
like,
this, do that.
This is exactly what you need to do.
Push here.
Push here, and we helped her time and pushes, and...
they were like, go, like, keep going.
It was
you know.
giving her specific instruction to follow, so it was clear and precise.
Because, you just need to hear something.
When you're at a point of, like, she was mentally shot, and it was getting her to refocus.
I was like...
And that's, this is the first time I had the ability to be more hands-on, because previously we'd been private, and it was
private, and we'd have doctor, and that was it. It was like doctors would sort it out, like he would step back.
You stand there like a piece of furniture, and you can't really do anything.
But this time it was just a midwife and him. So anyway, so they moved my legs. So remember, I'm on my knees. They moved my right leg so that my foot stood up, and it was like, does that make sense? So I'm on my knee and my foot.
So you're creating more space.
And the second they did that...
And you got to think, like, human body, like when you're training, moving weights and things like that, like there's efficient ways of movement, and same thing with labor. Like, you know, chucking your legs up in some stirrups it doesn't help you with your ability to contract and push, and you want to have gravity work to your advantage, but also open up your pelvic cavity, so to speak, so you can really get the most room. Yeah, so the second they move my leg, they go push, and literally, like, everything came out. So as soon as I moved my leg, that one push got his head and his entire body came out. And that was it. That was quite literally, like, his whole... As soon as the head came out, he just fell right out.
He fell out, like, literally fell out. After all those pushes weren't doing anything, but as soon as that happened, he came out. And she was beautiful, the midwife. She was like, do you want to mirror all this stuff? And I was like, I can't move right now, love. Let's just get him out. And so I had him by 5:38 a.m. So the whole delivery was only 3.5 hours, which was the fastest for me. In the past, it was quite long. So that's why it was like hard and fast. Do you know what I mean? And for me, you know, I was so proud that I didn't have an episiotomy or end up in a C-section, obviously, because I have in the past. Obviously, like I said, I did a VBAC. But the episiotomy side was like the best thing ever, like that I felt like the first time I didn't do that. So it really was raw, because in episiotomy, they give you a local when they cut, right? So I didn't have anything this time. And I must say that after pain was probably almost worse. They say the more kids you have, your after pain can be quite substantial. But it was also, I did have some tears. So that's what was obviously like throbbing and whatnot. But overall, it was just such like a raw, incredible experience that was like, and by the way, I have to share this as part of our birth journey. And then if anyone has any questions, I need to read the chat, sorry. Ask us questions, go for it. Ask Dan questions, like whatever. Ask questions. But the one thing that I must say, guys, is ladies, be prepared to not have pain relief. Literally, because when I was really, really bad, Dan's like, you know, look, did you want pain relief? Like, you know, because obviously I said I didn't want pain relief, but, you know, they always got to check in case I change my mind. I'm not stupid. I'm going to keep my options open. But there was no time, guys. A doctor hadn't even come to see me. There was no time. There was no way I would have actually been able to have pain relief, like as in a epidural, because it takes time for them to call the person in, for them to administer, for it to work.
There's a process.
There's a full process.
Yeah,
and then obviously, like, you can't be a certain way, like, far in. And
so going back, having a written out birth plan
that was really
actually that's both true. Understood, both discussed. We had it.
I printed the birth plan, so we had it.
The entire journey was something that was known, but it evolved, I guess, as we learnt about things. Like when she learnt about the TENS machine, that was something we added in, and like the peri-packs. But this is the first thing that I gave to the midwife.
First thing was like, here's the birth plan.
So she was hyper aware of what her wishes were, because at the end of the day, it was her birth journey. It's not turn up to the hospital.
So that's why she really just let us do our thing.
And because Joe wanted as little intervention as possible, even though they were short-staffed, snowed under, they had 4 other women.
You can hear the babies cry.
Having babies at that point in time too. And she literally said, you know, like, you wanted as little intervention as possible, and that's what I'm going to do for you. So she left Joe to be alone, and when I could, I would pop out the room to see where they were and indicated and things like that.
Yeah.
Not that Joe noticed, but
obviously my head was on.
I didn't do anything. but that's a good piece of advice. So if you haven't got a written out birth plan, take the time. If you don't know what it looks like,
5 seconds.
Joe can maybe post a photo of it to give you an example, or you can do a bit of research. But just that was something that really helped, because it gave me an understanding of what she wanted, and I could then hold her to it as well, especially if she started to sway. I know how previously with Christian, again, you know, it was a birth that didn't have any pain relief and things like that, and she wanted that really raw.
That's just what I wanted.
That's just what I wanted. Experience, I guess, is probably one of the most rawest, realist experiences you can have. And
that's just I wanted to try it. But if you don't want to,
Joe loves a challenge too. So
I do love a challenge. And it's stupid, really, but, you know, I just love the challenge. And Dan's like, in my head during it, I was like, okay, never again. This is really our last one. And then now I said to Dan, I miss being pregnant. He's like, are you freaking nuts? Anyway, but
I swear, like, so many women say, oh my God, I love being pregnant. And I'm like, so have you, like,
anyway, we've got a question.
Birth through and you've forgotten the whole pain.
You really do forget. You forget.
Weeks and weeks of sleepless nights.
I'm
pissing yourself out in public constantly.
I really paid myself out in public. Anyway, but so I think that was really all I wanted to share with what I did, I guess. And then, by the way, I always pack protein bars for post-birth. And when I have my shower, I come out and have a protein bar, because I get really vomity when I'm, like, hungry, and that was like a really big workout to me. So I needed to have something, so I always have protein bars. Don't ask me why. Okay, we have a question. I'm due in 7.5 weeks and terrified of birth. Did you request to be told specifics of what to do, push, or was it the midwife you were handed? Awesome question. So first things first, I'm just going to give you what I did, mentally speaking. Number one, the first time I had a baby, everyone was telling me how painful it was going to be. So I went in there expecting pain, and I got pain. Does that make sense? Versus the second time I heard this phrase, if you expect pain, you're going to get pain. It's a mindset. So if you go in there expecting it, you tense. And the second you tense, pain is like next level. You don't allow everything to like kind of relax and do its job. So my number one thing is you've got to relax, and you've got to almost like go in there expecting something different. So one thing I did, and because I have had, 4 labors now, I truly knew what I was getting into, and I almost had to like be like, maybe this time's different. So start telling your brain every time you think about labor, or when you do your daily things towards it, or whatever it is, when you think terrified or scared or pain.
Hollywood doesn't help.
No, anyway, but start telling yourself empowering, positive, empowering, or whatever words work for you. But for me, because I knew what I was getting into, I really had to train my mind to start not thinking I'm going to be in pain, but to start telling myself I'm going to have an empowered experience, empowered. So that when I thought of birth and when labor started, I wasn't scared. Does that make sense? Instead, I was almost like excited to like get it done. Do you know what I mean? So that's the first thing, darling, is definitely start changing the words you use in your mind so that you're really ready for a good experience. Do you know what I mean? As best as possible. No, I didn't request to be told anything. They usually just do it, you know, like it's just whoever you've got. I mean, you can tell your support person that you want them, tell them, have the conversation. We didn't do that in the past. And Dan really didn't have much involvement other than being there and kind of like whatever, you know, like he said, he felt like a piece of furniture in the past. This time I wanted him to be involved. So I had to tell him, if this happens, I want this. If we, you know, I had to say that stuff. Do you know what I mean? So he just knew how I operate. We worked out the entire pregnancy together for the first time ever. Like we went and did workouts together at our gym. And I think you learn a lot about a person in a gym environment, right? He knows what type of training I like. I like to be told strongly what to do. Does that make sense? Like that's just how I like. Some people hate that. Some people hate being told like, go faster, you know, pick up more weights. Like people hate that. They get really like, oh my God, my feelings are hurt. Yeah, you know what I mean? So that's not the right approach for you. But for me, I like to be told and like strong people around me. So maybe just know who you are and just maybe even add that to your birth plan. How you would like to be spoken to. Otherwise, look, the nurses really know what they're doing. And she basically said to me, I had a home birth, but in a hospital. She was incredible. Like, she was incredible. She knew exactly what I wanted and she gave it to me.
She was calm.
She was very calm.
She was chill. She was confident. And that's, I guess, the other aspect. Like, for us, obviously, this is our fourth. So we had a little bit more confidence and experience of knowing from previous.
Yeah.
But even in saying that, going right back to the originals, it's, you know, it was reminding Joe like that this is what you were designed to do as well, like as a woman.
And
like,
in the end of the day, whatever happens, you know?
Yeah, like it's a natural process, and the more you fight against it, the harder it'll be. And going back to like anything you do in life, it's a challenge mentally. As long as you put your expectations up, so you expect and knowing full well that you are gonna feel some pain, that it is not going to be a comfortable, easy process.
But everyone's different. You know, I've got girlfriends who literally just felt like a little bit of period pain. That was it. They didn't even realize they were in labor. And then they're like, oh, the baby's here, you know. So you just don't know. I also have seen people do orgasmic births and all kinds of things. I just personally have not been one of those people, unfortunately, who had a great old time. It was just, you know, it was what it was. So, you know, every experience is different, you know. So I hope that answers your question. Another one I got was, can I ask how the placenta capsules are going? Yeah, I mean, I am using, I went through pure placenta. It was the very first time I've ever done that. I just mentally couldn't, I just wasn't into it in the past. But it was my last time. So this time I feel like the whole motto, the whole pregnancy was like, I'll give it a go. I'll give it a go. Why not? Why not? So I tried all these things I had never done before because I'm like, it's my last time. Why not? So you bring the esky and I texted the midwife that you get the details of to say, hey, I'm in labor. I'll let you know when I have the baby because that's what you need to do. Gave the stuff to we just put it there and they had the stuff. And anyway, so yeah, they were super, super lovely and I've been using them. I can't really tell you, to be honest. I don't feel a difference personally. It could be really, really helping me and I have no idea. I just can't tell the difference, to be honest. But I feel like, you know what, if it's back in the day, they used to really, you know, like do stews and whatnot, right? It's like the women in the tribe. So I just feel like, hey, you know, if it could be doing some benefit, why not? You know, but I can't really give you a confirmed, like I can tell the difference from my past. I can't, I'll be honest, I can't. But I feel like anything that I can do to help myself out, I'm doing it. Oh yeah, Oceana, 100%. You went through the same thing as me, 3 hours, no doctor. And you know, we met the doctor after. The doctor came in to check me. I had a few tears, like I said. And that's when I met the doctor. He stitched me up. And that was goodbye to the doctor. That was it. And we actually left the hospital the same day. So it was basically like a home birth experience. And that was surreal to me as well. That it was like a home birthing kind of style thing, and that I left the same day and I was in my own bed that night. That was like, I really did want a home birth, always, But once I had done the hospital one and I had a episiotomy, they just don't let you do that anymore. So I kind of like was ruled out of the ability.
It's just not worth the risk to yourself or to the little one.
Well, you're not allowed to once you've had like C-sections and all that stuff anyway. So, but yeah, anyway, that's our birth journey. It probably wasn't as nice to put it in, like I did not explain it properly. The one thing that I think as well that I had to deal with during the labor that was like probably, I had to let it go, but it was also something I had to deal with was the one thing I had wanted in every single labor was photos or video. Some people might be like, ew, why would you want that? Or like, just don't understand. But for me, I love labor. Like, he's not really into it. But when I've gone to my sister's labor, I'm like up in her grill. Like, I just love seeing it. I'm fascinated. I've always been fascinated by childbirth. So like, I just wanted to have it videoed or photoed. But in the past, like, he was not allowed permission. Like, they kept saying, no, no, no. So I said to him when we were discussing whether we wanted to get pregnant now and blah, 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 I was like, this time I'm getting a videographer. I have to have that. I really want that. It's my last time. I really want that. So very early on, I went to get someone and I ended up getting someone and, you know, we're all good. However, like I said, they didn't answer their phone and didn't make it. So I was kind of like emotional because, you know, I could tell that I wasn't going to be in labor long. There was no backup. And we had this tripod that you guys are sitting on right now on my phone. And I said to Dan, I didn't want to be on our phones. He was not working now. Like, we work from home. In the past, Dan was with the army and he was on call. Like, he was on the phone to army, sorting out army problems that was going on at the same time as my labor. So he was not really paying attention in that sense. Like, I didn't have his full attention. So this time I wanted no phones. I wanted his help. I didn't want him to be distracted by phones and messaging people and all that. And I didn't want him having to like have the pressure of like getting a couple of videos to me being annoyed at what he did get and all that kind of thing. So anyway, that's the one thing that I was dealing with as well, was like that she wasn't answering her phone, that I didn't have the person there, and the midwife was super keen. She was like, go for it, I don't mind being in the videos, which was a first, which made it worse because it would have been great to get it videoed. And so Dan did put the tripod on a table, you know, those little like your meal table things, or whatever it was, at the end. And he obviously got those couple of videos that you guys saw, but he put the video there and we were hoping that, you know, when your storage runs out or like something happens, we were like, hopefully this doesn't cut out. Do you know what I mean?
That would be out.
And luckily I turned around and I had seen my phone on this tripod because I was like, I don't have storage, take it down, put yours. Anyway, but it did get recorded and it is pretty awesome, but it's the most graphic, non-attractive video ever. It's basically my butt and my vag. It's a behind shot, straight up clinical butt vag shot.
But I got the magic moments and I got all of us in the shot.
So you know, it wasn't quite the video I imagined. You can't see my face or anything, it's just from behind. So
your face was buried in your bed.
I know, but you know, she would have been able to move, you know, and capture a beautiful video. Anyway, so that I must say, it's almost like mourning. And I know that sounds silly, but I'm just saying it to anyone who is about to give birth or who has given birth. It is like, you know, labor doesn't go the way you plan. You know what I mean? Nothing does, obviously, but labor really doesn't. And I know so many of my beautiful friends have just ended up in emergency C-sections recently. And, you know, like sometimes that's not how you planned it, you know, and it can be, I don't want to use the word traumatic, but it can just be, you visualize something for so long.
It's such an emotional process.
Yeah, and so, you know, when your labor doesn't go the way that you had planned, it's okay to mourn that. Do you know what I mean? It's like a wedding that went south, you know, it's like, it's something that you had in your heart and your mind to do, and then it goes differently. So for me, I still haven't dealt with it, to be honest, that I don't have what I had wanted, you know, this entire time. And it was my last, it's not something I can do again. Do you know what I mean? It's not like me going for a run, getting that on camera. I can't do that again. I can't get that back. So it is what it is. In the end of the day, we're safe, and that was the most important part. That was obviously just a bonus. But if it is important to you, something like that, just make sure you have backups. and just know so that you can kind of like maybe not deal with that. But yeah, that's the only thing that I would say on a, I don't want to say negative, but the only thing that I've had to like recover from other than labor is that. But other than that, we've just been focusing after that on recovery and really feeding myself well. And just enjoying the process, not rushing my body afterwards as well.
I'm just trying to build a routine.
That's exactly right, yeah. And Mama said, mine definitely didn't go how I planned, but he came out healthy and that's all I really care about. Exactly. And that for me, especially doing a VBAC, it's like that's the number one priority for everyone, is that your baby is not distressed and that nothing happens to affect the baby. So for me, I was like, just get him out, because I just wanted him out safely. I just wanted him out. So that's why I was like, I don't care if anyone shows up at this point for the video, because let's go and eat this done. But anyway, if anyone ever has any questions about anything, as you can tell, I am literally an open book. And if you have any questions for Dan as well, as the male or whatever, let us know. And we just appreciate you all taking the time to listen to our little story time and to listen to our birth journey and being so supportive and amazing, like the whole pregnancy and post. Everyone has been so freaking amazing, and I just thank you guys. And it's the first time I've shared my journey during pregnancy and afterwards with anyone. So I just like appreciate the support and no haters. I've had, you know, beautiful people, and it makes it like worthwhile. And I hope that our share is not for us. Our share is kind of hopefully that someone who needs to hear something hears it. As well as, you know, those of you who don't need to hear it, but maybe it was entertaining for you, that's awesome. But thank you guys, we love you all, and to happy birth journeys, and I can't wait to hear some of yours who are about to have your babies. So thank you for listening to our birth journey of Mr. Dante. See you guys.